Hi everyone. This week we are going to see 17th and 18th centuries art in Europe. After the Renaissance, there were two major art movements. One is Baroque and the other one is the Rococo. So the period of 17th and 18th centuries in Europe is called the Age of Kings. Some of the most powerful rulers in history occupies the thrones of various countries during this time. The same period could equally be called the Age of Colonial Settlement. The Spanish, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the English, and the French had established permanent settlements in North and South America. Baroque art was an art movement during turbulent 17th and 18th centuries. Baroque art differs from that of the Renaissance. And Baroque art is full of emotion, energy, and movement. So the colors are more vivid in Baroque art than in Renaissance art, with greater contrast between colors and between light and dark. Baroque art has been called dynamic, sometimes even theatrical. In architecture and sculpture, where the Renaissance sought a classic simplicity, the Baroque favored ornamentation as rich and complex as possible. So let's compare the Renaissance and the Baroque art styles. So as you can see, there are two different eras architecture styles. The left one is the Renaissance one, and the right one is the Baroque one. So, can you find the difference between these two styles? The Renaissance architecture style shows simple, logical, and classical. On the other hand, the right one, the Baroque architecture style shows ornamentational and sophisticated. Now let's look at the sculptures. The left one is Michelangelo's David Statue in the Renaissance era. And the right one is Gian Lorenzo Bernini's Saint Teresa in the Baroque era. Of course, these two sculptures are amazingly beautiful and reach the highest technique in fine art. But the first feeling for these two sculptures are totally different. Can you find the difference between these two styles? So let's look at the left one, Michelangelo's David Statue. So it shows the beauty of balance, and it shows the ideal of beauty. And it is very bright to celebrate the hero. And on the other hand, the Baroque sculpture, the Saint Teresa, is dynamic, even theatrical. And it shows heavy light contrast by locating the sculpture in the darkest spot and using window light on the top of the roof. So that is one of the features of the Baroque art. Now, let's see the paintings. The left one is Raphael's painting, The School of Athens in the Renaissance era. And the right one is Peter Paul Rubens' The Raising of the Cross in the Baroque era. Can you see the differences? It is easier to find compared in architecture and the sculpture. The left one, Raphael's painting, is basically following perspective rule which means it is well balanced. And it is calm, peaceful, bright, and logical. On the other hand, the right one, Rubens's painting, is focused on the subject, not really follow the perspective role, and it shows deep contrast with the bright highlight and very dark shadow. So also the movement is dynamic, and the whole painting mood is very emotional. So, to conclusion, the Renaissance art shows the stillness, logicality, peace and calm, classicism, and brightness. And the Baroque art shows motion, emotion, turbulence, grandeur, and contrast. So please remember each era's artistic features. And now we are going to see two Baroque artists. So the first Baroque artist is Caravaggio. Caravaggio was an Italian painter, and his paintings combine a realistic observation of the human state, both the physical and emotional, with the dramatic use of lighting. So let's see his works. So he picked the painful moment when Jesus Christ got the crown. He is one of the most famous Baroque artists. So look at the beautiful light and the beautiful skin texture. So he is an amazing artist, right? And except for the technique, the painting's emotion is also very realistic. So feels like we are in the middle of the painful moment, right? And this painting is about Saint Thomas checking Jesus' wound with a surprised, profound face. This one also very realistic and very emotional. And this is Caravaggio's another biblical episode painting. Judith, this young lady, saved her people by seducing and beheading the Assyrian general Holofernes. And the same topic was depicted in the Renaissance era, which is the left painting. Judith in the left painting looks very peaceful and calm, right? Just like the Renaissance art features. And it is hard to believe that she is after the battle. She looks even elegant. On the other hand, Caravaggio's paintings, the right one, is dramatic and dynamic with detailed description. So it is capturing the moment of the event. That's the difference with the same topic. And this is David with the head of Goliath by Caravaggio. This same theme made by different era by Michelangelo. So even though Michelangelo and Caravaggio depicted the same David in their works of art, their Davids look totally different. Michelangelo's David, the left one, is made as a hero, and he has an idealized body because he is a hero. On the other hand, the Caravaggio's David, the right one, doesn't have an ideal body, just depicted as a normal human. Also, Caravaggio shows the moment David took the Goliath's head with unpleasant feeling. And let's move on to the next artist of Baroque art, Rembrandt. So Rembrandt was a Dutch draftsman, painter, printmaker. He is generally considered one of the greatest visual artists in the history of art and the most important in Dutch art history. This Rembrandt's largest and the most famous painting was made for one of the three headquarters of Amsterdam's civic guard. These groups of civilian soldiers defended the city from attack. Rembrandt was the first to paint all of the figures in a civic guard in action. And he has an excellent technique to capture a moment in his painting, while the sea in a storm feel like a rage of the sea. He was very famous with his self-portrait style. He settled the traditional portrait manner in terms of pose, light, and mood. Many of artists followed this portrait painting style, so that's why we are familiar with this, his portraits. There is a video about Rembrandt in the Moodle Room. Please watch it to see diverse his beautiful work of art. And we're gonna see the next art movement in the 18th century, the Rococo. The age of Rococo is development and extension of the Baroque style. The term Rococo was a play on the word Baroque, but also it refers to the French word for rocks and shells, forms that appeared as decorative motifs in architecture, in furniture, and in painting. The Rococo subjects and mood of art is slightly different from the Baroque, even though it is an extension of the Baroque. So, like Baroque, Rococo is an extravagant, ornate style, but there are several points of difference. So Baroque was an art of cathedral and palaces. On the other hand, Rococo was more intimate, suitable for the aristocratic home and the drawing room. Baroque is large in scale, massive, dramatic. On the other hand, Rococo has a smaller scale and a light-hearted, playful quality. So let's see the example of Rococo art. The left one is the Baroque style architecture, and the right one is the Rococo style architecture. So these are all complicated, but can you see the differences between these two architecture styles? The left one, Baroque style, is dark but grandeur. However, the Rococo style is bright, feminine, and sophisticated. And let's see the painting. The left one is the Baroque styles painting, and the right one is the Rococo styles painting. These two paintings are well using deep contrast lighting, but seems very different. So what's the difference? So the most of the Baroque art described the biblical episodes just like the left painting made by Caravaggio. And also, it is very heavy and dark and serious. However, the Rococo's painting depicts daily life and nature of novels, and it shows light and bright and very lovely. So there is a video about lovely Rococo art in this page. Please watch it for your understanding, and I hope you understand the difference of art styles by the art eras through this chapter. Bye.